In the previous spoiler, it was mentioned that, feeling his combat strength insufficient, Luo Feng decided to create the second form pinnacle secret technique. At that moment, Primal Chaos City leader suddenly appeared, attempting to persuade him to abandon the cultivation of the spiritual master lineage. After careful consideration, Luo Feng ultimately decided to persist in dual cultivation as both a close combat warrior and a spiritual master. After all, the Earth lineage was born with the goal of producing powerful spiritual masters. More importantly, in terms of realm, Sitting Mountain Guest is stronger than Primal Chaos City leader. Since Sitting Mountain Guest, knowing that Luo Feng cultivates the beast god path, still allows him to follow the spiritual master lineage, it is clear he possesses secrets that even Primal Chaos City leader may not fully understand. Seeing Luo Feng stick to his decision, Primal Chaos City leader was somewhat disappointed but still arranged suitable opponents for him to aid in creating his pinnacle secret techniques. In his view, Luo Feng's cultivation time has been relatively short, and his talent extremely high, giving him the luxury to make mistakes. Even if some time is wasted, it is acceptable as long as he does not remain stubborn when preparing to create universe venerable level secret techniques. Moreover, ever since Luo Feng became King Blade River, Primal Chaos City leader's attention on him has grown, and he gradually noticed Luo Feng's remarkable luck. Don't forget, when Luo Feng went to the Blood River world, he obtained far more Blood River crystals than any other adventurers and became a rare black warrior. When he went to Demon Mountain to rescue Bolin, he unexpectedly completed the Divine General Inheritance, and during his training in the extraterritorial battlefield, he obtained the highest class heavy-grade offensive treasure set. A cultivator blessed with both talent and opportunity is destined for extraordinary achievements, which naturally makes Luo Feng highly valued by Primal Chaos City leader. Are you curious why Luo Feng didn't simply reveal that he had become Sitting Mountain Guest's disciple? After all, stubbornly refusing advice could naturally affect a disciple's impression in the eyes of their master. In fact, it wasn't that Luo Feng was unwilling to tell, it was that Sitting Mountain Guest forbade him from saying so. It is worth mentioning that, as a unique life form in the universe, Sitting Mountain Guest has no clan ties and has naturally become a solitary powerhouse greatly feared by all major races. If someone were to anger such an unrestrained being, who cannot be killed, any clan could face extinction should he decide to take revenge. For this reason, if other races learned of Luo Feng's connection to Sitting Mountain Guest, they would avoid provoking him. Excluding the natural threats of the universe, Luo Feng would hardly face any man-made danger. Yet growing up in such a safe environment would inevitably prevent him from surpassing Sitting Mountain Guest. And Sitting Mountain Guest would never tolerate circumstances that could limit Luo Feng's future achievements. Under Primal Chaos City leader's targeted guidance, Luo Feng's secret techniques gradually improved. As his comprehension of the fusion law deepened and using the second chapter of the Yenshin 7 transformations as a foundation, he ultimately spent over 1,000 years to successfully create the second form of the Bright Moon tactic. Meanwhile, about half a year after Luo Feng entered seclusion to create the secret technique, the result of the battle between him and Silver Eyes finally reached the third-ranking powerhouse in the ice prison, Skywolf, the very one who had compiled the ice prison rankings. Upon learning the news, Skywolf was filled with regret, lamenting that the information had arrived too late and that it had missed the best opportunity to negotiate with Luo Feng. To prevent missing such an opportunity the next time Luo Feng emerged from seclusion, it simultaneously revised the rankings and publicly promised that any other imprisoned individual who helped locate Luo Feng would be guaranteed its protection. A frenzy to find Luo Feng immediately swept through the ice prison. After all, gaining the protection of an invincible king immortal level powerhouse was an opportunity that the lower level inhabitants of the ice prison could hardly hope to attain. At the very least, they no longer had to worry day and night about their own lives. Yet Luo Feng's methods of concealment were simply too brilliant. Despite searching frantically for hundreds of years, they found nothing. No one could have imagined that Luo Feng would remain in seclusion for more than 2,000 years. Even Luo Feng himself had not anticipated that, despite having the second form of the Bright Moon tactic as a reference, he would spend more than twice the expected time to finally create the second form of the Star Scroll. During the process, he finally realized that as the power of a secret technique increases, its structural complexity grows exponentially. In fact, even though the secret techniques of the close combat warrior lineage and the spiritual master lineage share the same fusion law as their foundation, their increasing complexity gradually makes cross-referencing between them useless. When creating higher-level techniques approaching the final stages, the two lineages can even interfere with each other, making the secret techniques difficult to perfect and ultimately cutting off the possibility of advancing to the universe master level. It was at this point that Luo Feng finally understood Primal Chaos City Leader's concerns. Yet, even when Primal Chaos City Leader tried to dissuade him again, Luo Feng still chose to persist with dual cultivation. While this caused some frustration, Primal Chaos City Leader also greatly admired Luo Feng's unwavering determination. After all, only a cultivator with such resolute will could truly reach the pinnacle of strength. Moreover, for a super genius like Luo Feng, as long as he exercises discernment when creating secret techniques at the universe venerable level or higher, taking extra time to experiment now would not significantly affect him. For Luo Feng, who had cultivated for only a little over 10,000 years and had never encountered an insurmountable obstacle along his path, it was natural for a spirit of defiance to arise. He wanted to prove to Primal Chaos City Leader that his persistence was not a mistake. With his already astonishing willpower, this only made him even more resolute in his choice. After withdrawing his consciousness from the virtual universe, Luo Feng ended his seclusion and returned to the surface of the ice, treading through the snow in search of targets to test the power of his secret technique. He didn't even bother to erase his footprints or conceal his presence. After all, before entering seclusion, he was already the strongest among those below the invincible king immortal level in the ice prison. Now, with his current strength, how could he fear any challenger? Since the public promise made by Skywolf over 2,000 years ago, only a few of the imprisoned still occasionally ventured out to seek Luo Feng. As Luo Feng strode through the snow, a low-ranking metallic lifeform unexpectedly discovered his trail and began repeatedly teleporting to track him. After dozens of teleports, it finally caught up with him. Seeing someone approaching, Luo Feng did not hesitate. He activated the star scroll to manipulate the fusion laws, linking over 50 sealed stars. As the secret technique operated, the manifested beast god was no longer an illusion but solid and tangible. The terrifying presence instantly scared the metallic lifeform, forcing it to teleport several dozen kilometers away while loudly announcing its purpose. Upon learning that the lifeform was merely acting on Skywolf's behalf to deliver a message, Luo Feng held no grudge. After witnessing the awe-inspiring power of the beast god's manifestation, he withdrew all the sealed stars, sparing the lifeform any further trouble. Under the guidance and teleportation of the metallic lifeform, Luo Feng quickly arrived at Skywolf's absolute territory within the ice prison and immediately flew toward the palace Skywolf had constructed. Having waited over 2,000 years for a human to appear, Skywolf was naturally overjoyed and promptly honored his promise, allowing the metallic lifeform to reside near the palace. However, the metallic lifeform had no idea that Skywolf's so-called protection was merely an empty promise. His true reason for summoning a human was to use the opportunity to leave the ice prison. Once successful, with his cunning nature, he had no intention of keeping the promise he had made. After dismissing the metallic lifeform, Skywolf got straight to the point, proposing to exchange a treasure for the virtual universe connector. After all, in the long-standing conflict between humans and demons, there was no need for false pleasantries. Luo Feng could not trust Skywolf, so negotiating a direct trade was far more straightforward. Even in the extraterritorial battlefield, short-term cooperation between opposing sides for mutual benefit was not without precedent. However, as an enemy of his race, Luo Feng harbored deep hostility towards Skywolf. Even when Skywolf offered 2 treasures in exchange, Luo Feng decisively refused without hesitation. Seeing multiple negotiations fail, Skywolf suddenly erupted in rage, disregarding all appearances and even discarding the oath he had written above the ranking list to not kill the human, determined instead to personally slay the greedy and despicable human before him. Seeing Skywolf's aura surge wildly, Luo Feng showed no weakness either, instantly activating the star scroll to face him. Even though he was extremely unwilling to admit it, Skywolf knew full well that Luo Feng held a key advantage that made him wary. After all, if Luo Feng were to die, Skywolf's hope of leaving the ice prison would be completely shattered. After all, Luo Feng was the only human in the entire ice prison. And given Luo Feng's current strength combined with his astonishing escape speed, as a cultivator of the same original law of space lineage, Skywolf could not be certain of killing him. After much deliberation and having no other choice, Skywolf reluctantly presented a bargaining chip, the Beast God Inheritance Token, connected to the highest level inheritance within the Ancestral God Sect, the greatest power of the original universe. Naturally, Luo Feng did not trust him easily, wary of falling into a trap. Using his spiritual energy to probe the so-called inheritance token and receiving the information it radiated, Luo Feng outwardly continued negotiating and bargaining with Skywolf, while his consciousness had already linked into the virtual universe to gather related intelligence. Upon discovering that the beast god inheritance would greatly benefit even a universe venerable, Luo Feng immediately began considering how to secure it safely. After all, virtual universe connectors had already been illegally resold and even fallen into enemy hands, so negotiating with Skywolf would not directly violate the crime of betraying his race. Don't forget, even the automaton race's core technology, the heart of evolution, had been illegally sold to him. After all, when enormous profit is at stake, someone is always willing to take risks. Since the virtual universe connector links the virtual world via consciousness, it can naturally block or even disable access for hostile alien races when scanning life essence. Unless a life form possesses a unique innate secret technique, such as the Masha clan, other races, including the demon race, cannot replicate this disguise. Therefore, if Skywolf truly wanted to acquire a connector, he could only have it used by subordinates whose relations with humans were friendly, or at least non-hostile. Although the beast god inheritance token that Skywolf presented belonged to the Earth and space fusion laws, according to the information Luo Feng obtained from the Virtual Universe Company, any cultivator who received an inheritance token could, if it did not suit them, apply to their clan for a replacement token better aligned with their own attributes. Therefore, the token in Skywolf's possession was naturally extremely attractive to Luo Feng. Of course, he did not dare to trade privately with Skywolf. After all, occupying such a high position made him highly susceptible to jealousy and scrutiny, where many eyes were watching him, ready to catch any misstep. Although Luo Feng quickly deduced multiple feasible plans, for safety he decided to first seek the opinion of the Primal Chaos City leader. Aside from the matter of the 9 Calamities secret tome, he explained almost the entire chain of events to the city leader. Meanwhile, he pretended to agree to let Skywolf verify the connector's usability, merely to buy time. In fact, given Luo Feng's current status and authority, he could easily construct a system containing nearly 1,000 virtual games, even create vast numbers of virtual characters of different races, and have them interact with players, ensuring the entire game structure was logically coherent. Don't forget, the virtual universe can not only perfectly simulate life forms and objects but also allow cultivators to create and comprehend original laws. Without specific methods or secret codes, players cannot distinguish whether someone is a virtual construction or a real being. Skywolf, however, was exploiting channels and secret codes unique to the demon race, enabling his sole slave to rendezvous with demon operatives within one of these virtual games. When Skywolf discovered that the contact party was unresponsive, it immediately concluded that Luo Feng was toying with it. Enraged, it was about to lash out, but suddenly realized that Luo Feng was secretly monitoring every move of its slave and fully understood that it was being deceived. Negotiations nearly broke down, yet after several rounds of probing, Luo Feng consistently held the upper hand. After all, Skywolf desperately wanted to leave the ice prison, and the only one who could make that possible was Luo Feng. It should be noted that with the strength of an invincible king immortal, once Skywolf returned to the demon race, it would inevitably become a core member, receive the clan's focused cultivation, and possibly even be granted a heavy treasure. Compared to continuing as a prisoner, or even facing the risk of extermination, leaving the ice prison was its only choice. Reluctantly, it had no option but to accept Luo Feng's terms, where first hand over the beast god token, and then receive the virtual universe connector from Luo Feng. By this time, Luo Feng had already obtained the Primal Chaos City leader's approval and handed Skywolf a functional connector. In fact, Luo Feng's encounter with the beast god inheritance token even surprised the city leader, as this disciple seemed like a luck-sensing device. No matter where he went, he always encountered opportunities. Although Luo Feng was confident that within 10,000 years he could advance his cultivation enough to activate the second layer of the Sure Wu wings, overpower the 5 invincible king immortals, and leave the ice prison by his own strength, allowing him to obtain the beast god inheritance token early might trigger even greater opportunities. Naturally, the city leader was willing to give him a helping hand. After all, even an invincible king immortal could not alter the balance of power among the 4 peak clans. Handing the connector to Skywolf in exchange for the beast god inheritance token was perfectly reasonable. Moreover, even if the strongest universe master of the Skywolf clan descended upon the ice prison star, the Primal Chaos City leader could easily suppress them. Once Skywolf obtained the connector, it immediately had its slave contact with the clan and successfully established communication. Soon after, Skywolf Master arrived at the ice prison star region, and its aura and overwhelming pressure were so immense that the entire region seemed to revolve around it, completely under its control. Within the ice prison star region, except for 2 Dooku venerables, all other Dooku clan members were oppressed by the Skywolf Master's surging presence, barely able to move. Using its presence to intimidate, the Skywolf Master ordered the Dooku Venerables to immediately release its junior and furiously scolded them for daring to imprison an invincible King Immortal within their clan. The Cyan Dooku Venerable, dissatisfied with this behavior, attempted to argue back but was crushed by divine power, shattering half of its divine body. Even after reforming its body, it could only suppress its anger and reluctantly comply. If it were not for the Violet Dooku Venerable being one of the 72 divine generals of the ancestral god sect and the Skywolf Master unwilling to offend the sect lightly, an outburst from it would have instantly obliterated the Ice Prison Star region. After leaving the Ice Prison, Skywolf did not forget to report to Skywolf Master that the human in the prison possessed the Beast God Inheritance token. Upon receiving this information, Skywolf Master immediately ordered the Dooku Venerables to hand over the human. The Dooku Venerables tried to deceive and stall while contacting Sitting Mountain Guest to inform him of Luo Feng's situation, but Sitting Mountain Guest made it clear that he would not intervene and did not allow the direct relationship between Luo Feng and himself to be revealed. Ultimately, under the Skywolf Master's overwhelming pressure, the Dooku Venerables had no choice but to transfer Luo Feng out of the ice prison and hand him over. Just as Skywolf Master was about to strike Luo Feng fatally, a clone of special lifeform of the Primal Chaos City leader arrived in time to stop him. The city leader's iconic arcana, the Thousand Treasures River, immediately unleashed a magnificent presence, enveloping the entire Ice Prison Star region. Even the palace-type arcana of the Skywolf Master could barely withstand its might. Though naturally arrogant, the Skywolf Master could not deny that the city leader's strength surpassed his own and had no choice but to slink away with Skywolf with displeasure. Before leaving, it still indulged in verbal bravado, even revealing the fact that King Blade River was still a world master. After all, a universe master controlling a region of spacetime could easily perceive King Blade River's true level, and the fact that a world master's aura could be concealed clearly indicated the possession of an arcana. Combining this with other intelligence, Skywolf Master easily deduced that the wings on King Blade River's back were the arcana. After learning the truth, the Dooku Venerables were not only shocked but also deeply impressed, realizing that Sitting Mountain Guest's valued disciple was indeed extraordinary. Afterward, the Primal Chaos City leader did not trouble the Dooku Venerables further and returned to the Virtual Universe Company headquarters with Luo Feng. So, how will Luo Feng deal with the Beast God Inheritance token that does not suit him? And will he be able to reach the place of inheritance smoothly? Stay tuned for the next spoiler, where I will reveal it all. Well, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching this video. Wish you a wonderful day.